You do not mention the bad behavior again. You do not tell them to be good. You do not tell them to not be bad. Those are all the warnings. It's insulting. You make sure you be good. It's micromanaging. It's nagging. It's awful.
I will say I do hear the warnings out in public quite often.
If you don't behave yourself, we're going to be going, it's this empty threat stuff. And even if you go, it just sounds so awful. It sounds fear-based. It sounds like you don't know what you're doing.
I'm guessing these parents may not want to ground their kids, but let's say they lied to them about something. How would you handle that instead?
Welcome to the Bratbusters Parenting Podcast. My name's Lisa Bunnage. I'm a parenting coach. I'm a mom. I'm also a grandmother.
And I'm Amy Bunnage, Lisa's daughter, and I handle the marketing and planning here at Bratbusters. While I don't have kids, each episode will dive into parenting topics and Lisa will answer your questions. Let's get started.
Okay, sweetie, what are we talking about today?
Today's topic is fear-based parenting methods that you've seen backfire.
Oh, is that just the top 3, those ones I don't like, or just anything?
I have 5 that you've talked about before.
Okay.
Are those my top 3 or anything? Neither.
Actually, I have 22 that you've shot. I do have a lot of opinions. Okay, so do you want to mention them and then I'll do a little debrief on them? Okay, perfect. Let's go.
So the first thing that you've talked about before is warnings.
Oh, okay. Well, there's several different categories that can be in. It's when they do something, pardon me, they do something naughty, and then you say, if you do that again, so what you've just done is you've condoned the first time they do it. This is assuming they already know it's naughty, and they usually do. Past the age of 2 or 3, they already know right from wrong. Okay, the other way of doing that is if you're going out somewhere and you say, you better be good or else. So I don't think that's fair. Could you imagine if your spouse said that to you? You better be good when we go out for dinner or else. It's a real insult. So those are 2 different types of warnings. I don't like either one of them.
I will say I do hear the warnings out in public quite often.
So do I. If you don't behave yourself, we're going to be going, it's this empty threat stuff. And even if you go, it just sounds so awful. It sounds fear-based. It sounds like you don't know what you're doing. Like as soon as a kid acts out, I would probably pull them to sit on a bench with me for a few minutes if we were at a park. Then I'd let them go back. But even when they go back, I don't give them a warning then. I don't say, now you make sure you be good. That's the pool story. Check it out. Bratbusters pool story. You can just Google that and you'll find it. It's once you've already disciplined them by having them sit on a bench with you for 5 minutes, you do not mention the bad behavior again. You do not tell them to be good. You do not tell them to not be bad. Those are all the warnings. It's insulting. You make sure you be good. It's micromanaging. It's nagging. It's awful.
It would almost be as if your boss says to you, well, you make sure you work hard. If you go on a work trip, it's like,
that's right. Make sure you're on time tomorrow. Make sure you don't go late for lunch. It's all that. It just doesn't feel good, does it? And kids can't articulate that, but that's why I'm here. It doesn't make them feel good.
Okay, the next one is countdowns.
That's kind of the same thing. It's a form of a warning. It's when they're doing something naughty. It's okay to count down when you're going out. So let's say in 10 minutes, we're going to be leaving. In 5 minutes, we're going to be leaving. That's a countdown. That's okay. It's a countdown when you're going to be doing something. But when they're doing something naughty and you say, okay, I'm going to count to 3 and you better stop doing that or else you're in trouble. Then you go 1, 2, 2.5, and then 3, and then they break. They stop hitting whatever they're doing. So they stop the bad behavior, and then they haven't learned anything. They've just learned, wait a minute. And in that count, while you're counting, they're usually, let's say they're hitting their little brother or something, they'll usually keep pounding them until you get to 3. Okay. And then where's the consequence for hitting in the first place? It's a mixed message. What you're doing is you're saying you can be rotten in the short term, just not the long term. It also makes you look like you're scared, like you don't know you don't really want to discipline. You don't really want to take charge. You're just hoping that they'll stop so you don't have to. That's the countdown. That is my absolute least favorite of all the things that parents do on a regular basis. It's the countdown. I can't stand it.
The next one is grounding your kids.
Yeah. What's the point? Okay. I guess you can say that that's when you ground them. You can't go out or anything. I still want my kids to be able to go out and play and meet with friends. I never take away social stuff usually. I might delay the fun if that's all I've got to work with. But grounding is sort of, you stop living, but I don't mind taking media away. They can still live without a screen. Okay. But I don't like to ground them. Like you can't go anywhere. You can't play with anyone. You can't go to that birthday party. I would never do anything like that. I never take away social stuff, generally, or just having fun, being able to go outside and play. It's too much. Most parents who do ground, what they do is they delay any disciplining because they just don't want to do it, and then they blow up. So they let a lot go, and then they blow up. Okay, that's it. Now you're grounded. It's sort of like you're just hoping to God that they're not going to get worse, and of course they're going to if you don't take charge. And then they get worse, and then you go overboard. It's sort of too big of a reaction.
I will say, just from what I've heard growing up too, is that I do feel like there was a lot of resentment in those kids when they were grounded.
It's one of those methods, and actually all of these methods will backfire as they get older because they're all make them feel like crap. So anything that makes them feel bad will come back like a ricochet and slap you because they're going to resent you. It's just going to build up over the years. All of those methods are building up. They're going to build resentment.
And again, I'm not a parent, but from my experience hearing about this, when kids got grounded for possibly doing something their parents didn't want them to do, they just got sneakier at doing it.
Yeah, they do. Grounding is it's overboard. It's overboard. It just is. And there's a whole bunch of stuff that is overboard, and that's certainly one of them.
But now let's look at the scenario. Now, I'm guessing these parents may not want to ground their kids, but let's say their teenager does something, I don't know. Let's say they lied to them about something. How would you handle that instead?
So they lied to me. It depends what it's about, by the way. With teenagers, so let's say they're 16 years old and they lie to you. If you ground them, they're just going to sneak out or they're going to hate you. And they're going to get worse. They are going to get sneakier, like you said. They're just going to they're going to find a way to do what they want to do because you're not building respect. You're just trying to use the authority style. I would say if they lied to me, I'd say, look, I said, you lied to me. I'm not happy about that. What can we do here? Like how, I don't like to lie to you. I'm sure you don't like to lie to me either. So what do you want from me? What am I doing that led you to lie to me? You ask their advice. What do they think you're doing wrong as a parent? Say, I need you to help me out here. Why did you feel the need to lie to me? Like you couldn't tell me anything. And then they might say, well, I wanted to go out and do drugs and party and say, well, I'm never going to condone that. Okay. So yeah, let's just work out a system. You've got to negotiate with teenagers. Should I read out my top 5 tips for parenting teenagers?
Oh, I think you need to
now. I think I need to now that I've said it. No, never mind, Mom. Okay, so these are my top 5 tips for parenting teenagers. Number 1, you listen to understand and show empathy. You don't listen to gather information to lecture with. If they want your advice, they'll ask for it. They already know it anyway. Number 2 is just exactly what we were talking about. You negotiate as much as possible. So you say, look, I don't want you to go out and do drugs and party. So that's my job as a parent to, try and help you not to do that. So what do you want from me? It's got to be a bit of give and take. Okay. They might say, get off my back and say, okay, well, let's start there. Let's start the negotiations. And when you get good at this, they're usually really fair and reasonable about it. They don't usually ask for anything crazy when you get good at it. Okay. It takes practice. Number 3, don't sweat the small stuff with teenagers. If they do something stupid, just say, well, that was stupid. Wait till you hear what I did when I was your age and laugh it off. In other words, it's okay to make mistakes. Don't expect them to be perfect because you certainly weren't and you certainly aren't. Nobody is. Okay. So allow them to make some mistakes. Number 4, don't leverage the good times to discuss the bad times. A lot of parents want to do that. They'll finally I'll teach them how to get along with their teenager. They'll be out somewhere having fun with them. And then the parent wants to talk about all the way they've disappointed them in the last 2 years. Huge mistake. Huge. So when do you discuss the bad times? Never. What's the point? Number 5, with teenagers, you can be a right fighter or you can be happy. They will die on any hill. They don't care if they're right or not. They're just going to fight and fight and fight and fight. If you see that happening and they're arguing and you know that they know they're wrong, and even arguing anything, there's no point. Just say, I'll tell you what, let's just talk about it later. Do not say, let's talk about it later when you've calmed down. That's an accelerator and it's nasty. Okay. Just say, let's just talk about it later and then just kind of let it go. So you can be a right fighter or you can be happy. That could be said for pretty much any relationship.
I can imagine though, when you've calmed down, I think in hindsight, if you think about any relationship, if you said that,
yeah, I mean, let's talk about it later when you've calmed down. What you've just said is because you're the problem and I'm better than you are. That's exactly what you've just said. That's an accelerator. It's an accelerator with anyone, but a teenager is just going to go ballistic if you say that. Me calm down. You're the one who needs to calm down. Blah, blah, blah.
And then you go, oh, teenagers.
Yeah. Oh, well, geez, you're difficult. Just like your father or just like your mother. You get into all this stuff. So yeah, it just gets snotty at that point.
Okay. The 4th method is yelling.
Yelling, most parents do that because they don't know what else to do. And it does work in the short term, but it backfires down the road. It only works because it's a fear and intimidation based method. Okay. And you usually let a lot go before you yell. You're building up steam. And by the time you blow, you scream. So the kids are like, wait a minute, I can get away with, like, you have a threshold, right? That's the thing. I don't. As soon as a kid commits a crime, like does something naughty, I deal with it. I'd say, okay, well, you shouldn't have done that. So here's what we're going to do. Here's a consequence. That's how I deal with it. I get it right at the start. But usually when parents yell, they've let a lot go. They've done a lot of warnings. They've done a lot of threats. They've done a lot of repetition, asking, repeating yourself over and over, and then you blow. You've allowed your temper to get the better of you. So anyway, yeah, yelling, if you're doing it now, just put no yelling on the behavior board. If you've got a 3-year-old and above, behavior board's completely free on my website, bratbusters.com. You just join the newsletter and it comes with it. It's a mini course. It also has a section for toddlers, so you can't use the behavior board with toddlers. That's under the age of 3. But yeah, most parents yell because they were probably yelled at too. I have no comfort with yelling. I was never yelled at, so I never yelled. So yeah, it's something that you were probably raised with also. Yellers raise yellers. And, but yeah, it's just, you don't need to do it because there's other things to do. That's all I'm teaching here.
And the final one is spanking.
Yeah, spanking. I think I don't need to say much about that. You spank because it's right in the moment. It's a very sort of a not compulsive, it's a reactive thing, like an impulsive thing that you do. It's like yelling. It might work in the short term, but it's not good. You don't want to do that. And so it's in the exact same category as yelling. You've usually built up to that. Okay.
Okay. So now that we've gone over the 5 that you don't recommend, what are methods that you do recommend in general with discipline?
Yeah, with toddlers, toddler to me, let's go right back to babies. You can start teaching them right from wrong when they're like 8, 10 months old. If they're biting, you can just say no, you shake your head, and then you just sort of pull them away from what they've bitten. They'll probably try and do it again because they're like, what? She just said no to me? What's going on here? So they'll probably keep trying. You're just teaching them right from wrong. But you never want to say no to a baby where they cry or anything. It's just letting them know that the word no means you shouldn't be doing that. Then you always redirect. You'd use diversion with a baby. Now, a baby goes up to about 15, 16 months maybe. And then I say toddlers is 16 to 20 to 35 months. And they usually know right from wrong. They're starting to pick up on that. They kind of just instinctively know they shouldn't hit or kick someone, right? They just start to get that. So now you're imposing consequences. So you can still use a little bit of diversion when they're little. So if they hit, you just say no, and then you get them to go and play somewhere else for a while, whatever. So you can use a little bit of diversion when they're really young, but basically you use consistent corrective actions. When they do something naughty, you say no, and then you remove them from the fun or the fun from them just for a few minutes or whatever. Like if they've just thrown a toy across the room, you pick up that toy and you put it somewhere high where they can't touch it, but they can still see it. So you got to be quick though. It's right in the moment. It can't be 10 minutes later. So you say no, and then you put that toy away where they can see it. Let them have the fit. Everyone's trying to avoid the fit scenes, meltdowns, and tantrums. Those are the lessons. The rainbow is on the other side of that stuff. Everyone wants the rainbow, but not the storm. I'm quite happy with the storm because I know the rainbow's on the other side. I'm quite happy that they get mad at me because I put that toy away. Okay. That's okay. They have to learn they can't have everything they want, especially if they've done something naughty, right? So it's okay that they're mad, but you never want them to feel sad or bad. There's a difference. Anger is fine. And that's none of your business. When they're angry at something because you did the right thing, you took something away that they just hit someone with, you don't get involved in that anger. Let them work it out on their own. If they're having a tantrum, yelling, screaming, just ignore them. And then as soon as they stop, say, y'all done? Do you want to go read a book? So you ignore the crazy and you reward the calm. A tantrum is not a big emotions or feelings. It's a loss of emotional control and not getting your own way. Leave them alone. That is their business. Let them privately on their own in their own little world work that out. I can't get everything I want when I want and how I want it. The sooner they learn that, the better their life will be and yours.
Okay. So
that was a spiel, wasn't it?
Woo. Yes.
Oh boy, oh boy. I need a sip of cold water now. Okay.
Okay. And then just to clarify, did you go over the Bratbusters behavior board there?
Oh, I forgot. Yeah, that's the toddler one. So I'm all sweaty here.
Sorry, I just wanted to give you your moment to sip your water.
I got lost there. I go on. Anyway, okay, so then that's the toddler stage. Then you go into 3 and above. Now, 3-year-olds, and I always say all 3-year-olds can do this. It's the ability to stop and think before they act. They can learn this. They can learn how to sort of reason things out. They're starting to develop that skill. Now, sometimes they can do this a little bit younger, but all 3-year-olds, unless they have some learning disability or something, some challenge, but all 3-year-olds can do this. So we start with the behavior board. That, as I said, is free on my website, bratbusters.com, and you just get the rules and consequences for every member of the family. It goes in great detail on how you do that if you sign up for the newsletter. So you just put down rules. Mom and dad, you're on there too. If you're not on there, you're not a leader. Leaders have to show, like leaders lead by example, not by telling them. You don't lead by lecturing. You lead by example. Like if we make a mistake or do something naughty, like if we yell, then we have to be punished too. We all are accountable for what we do. So you use the behavior board, and that goes right through, right through the years. So that behavior board, really with teenagers, I would call it just like the rule chart or something, or whatever. Call it whatever you want. But yeah, with younger kids, I call it the behavior board. And you're on there too. They love that. That helps them get on board with it too, because it's fair and reasonable that you're also accountable, and they get to punish you. They love that. And by the way, your punishments are connecting with them. Like, let's say you do yell, then your punishment or consequence would be playing hide and seek for 10 minutes or something. It's always something fun for them. I've had clients who said stuff like this. Well, I didn't want to play hide and seek, so I changed my consequence to something like this. No glass of wine after dinner for me. That's not for the kids. That's for you. The kids don't care if you have wine or not. So yeah, make sure it's something for the kids. Like, don't just deprive yourself of something that the kids doesn't have any effect on them. If you make a mistake, you want to make sure that you're doing something for them.
I need to mention this because I just know there will be someone listening going, how is playing with my kids a punishment?
Well, the kids never pick up on that, which is fascinating. And it should be something that you don't normally do. It's okay that they know you don't like playing hide and seek, but when you do play, enjoy yourself, or at least pretend to enjoy yourself. But it should be something that you don't normally do, that they sometimes ask you to do. Can you play hide and seek? No, no, no. So it's something like that. Now, here's what's interesting. Parents say, you mean punish? No. And this is interesting. Parents say, won't they see that my time with them is my punishment, as like I don't even want to be with them? I've been teaching this for about 20 years now. Not one kid has ever said that. Not one kid has ever picked up on that, except one parent I was coaching, and she goes, my kid's the exception in 20 years of coaching, Lisa. They did complain that my consequence was having fun with them. And I said, really? Like, they're just so thrilled that you do something for them. They don't care, right? Normally. And I said, really? Like, I didn't quite believe it. And then she goes, yes. What her child had said was, it's not fair that your consequence is something fun. He thought that hide and seek was fun for him. So fun for you. So he didn't quite complain the way I meant. But even then, so no kid has ever been offended by that. You mean being with me is your punishment? Not once. They're just so thrilled that they're getting something out of this, right? It's interesting. I would think that they would. I would think that a kid would say that, but in 20 years of coaching, it's never happened. Not that I know of anyway. No one's ever told me.
Okay, do you want to get into the questions?
Sure.
So the first one is Stephanie from Canada. I have twin 4-year-old boys and they are out of control. My partner is a big-time fear-based and authoritarian parent, and we clash big time because I keep trying to encourage him to use your methods and get on the same page as me, but I feel like he will never change his ways. Is it possible for your methods to work when their father won't follow through with the no yelling and no angry look?
It will work so long as he's not on the board. If he's not going to follow through with the board, he has to be eliminated from it. What will happen is, and what I suggest you do is you just say, look, let's just flip a coin and pick a method, and we'll go with it for 3 weeks. If it works, we'll stay with it. If we start to see results, we'll stay with it. If not, we'll abandon it and go back to your way. We'll switch. So that has worked with some parents. But yeah, tell him to watch the pool story. He might get it. A lot of men are sort of brought on board with this stuff with the pool story. That's it. Just Google Bratbusters pool story and show him that. It's about how you do. I don't take any crap from kids. I discipline bad behavior. But then I also, my main thing is connecting with kids, making them feel good about themselves. When they feel good, they do good. When they feel bad, they do bad. The old-fashioned authority way is based on fear and intimidation. And it's based on also shaming them and wanting a lot of apologies and remorse. I think that's mean. I don't like it. So yeah, I want them to be accountable. I'm okay that they get mad, but I never want them to feel sad or bad. I want them to feel good about themselves, but still be accountable. But they can be mad. I don't care about that one. Okay, so show them the pool story. It might help. You cannot work together. Like if one person's undermining the other, that'll never work. Okay. He can't undermine, like you have to get on board and you have to agree. He doesn't have to do it, but he can't undermine you. Just say it's my way for 3 weeks. If not, then it's your way for 3 weeks and see which one works.
Okay. The next one is Polina from Bulgaria. I'd really appreciate your guidance on a situation I'm struggling with as a single parent. I'm a widow raising my 31-month-old son and currently staying at my parents' house. They're the only ones who can help my childcare, and I'm finding it especially hard when my parenting choices are judged or undermined. My son occasionally has intense tantrums once a week, usually triggered by something small. When this happens, he gets very upset and physically resists if I try to comfort or redirect him. I found what helps the most is bringing him into the middle of the room, just staying calm and present. I don't distract or give in to command or demands, but I stay emotionally available. After about 20 or 30 minutes of crying, he usually sighs, resets, and is fine. The last time it happened at my parents' place for the first time, and my mother found it very hard to watch. He's usually very dramatic with lots of sobbing and gasping. She became anxious, tried to intervene, and questioned my approach. When I asked her to let me handle it or step out if it was too difficult, she stayed nearby. Afterward, she said, "Are you trying to break this child?" and later called to him, "Come, I'll take you out," as if she was rescuing him from me. It was painful and made me question myself. I've tried following his cues during a tantrum, but it doesn't help. The crying continues either way. I'm trying to hold calm, loving boundaries while being emotionally present, but it's hard not to doubt myself when I feel so judged. My questions are, am I responding to these tantrums in a respectful and supportive way? And how do I deal with this criticism and interference from close family, especially when they're my only support?
Yeah, boy, I'm sorry for your loss. First of all, that's really rough. Anyway, yeah, that's really tough if you're being undermined. The only thing that I always recommend you can say to someone who's undermining you is you say, "Look, when you undermine my parenting, it hurts my feelings." And I would add, I've been through a lot lately, about losing your husband. So say it just hurts my feelings. Also, show them the pool story. The pool story is really good for people who maybe aren't on board with what I say, because I can come across as like really harsh, I'm sure. But if they watch the pool story, they'll get it. The pool story is about addressing bad behavior, but then I'm always, always focusing on the good kid, trying to make them feel good. Ignoring tantrums seems a little bit mean, but it's not at all. You are allowing them to process that all by themselves. Also, tantrums will diminish in intensity, frequency, and duration over time. So it is kinder because the tantrums will start to go away. Now, you said that you comfort and redirect. I don't do either one of those during a tantrum because you're entering his zone. You want to stay out of that. When he's having a tantrum, you're just nearby. You don't look at him or talk to him. You're filing your nails. Look like you're just waiting for that tantrum to end. As soon as he's finished with the tantrum, you say, "Oh, you all done? Do you want to go read a book?" So you ignore the crazy and reward the calm. As I said, a tantrum is not based on a lot of feelings and emotions. It's just based on a loss of emotional control at not getting their own way. They have to learn how to get themselves out of that. If you intervene by comforting or redirecting, you are stopping him from processing and learning all by himself. We talk a lot about helping them self-regulate. Self-regulate is what it is. They have to learn on their own. Wait a minute, I don't get any attention when I act like this. They'll eventually give it up. But sorry about your mom too. I mean, I'm sure she's trying to help, but she is hurting your feelings and making things worse. So that pool story, it's kind of a softer story, but it's pretty direct too. It explains exactly how I treat kids. I deal with bad behavior quickly, get it over with, and then I'm trying to bring out the best in them, trying to make them feel good. That's the whole basis for everything I teach.
Okay, the next question is Viola from Sweden. We have a 6-year-old son and an 18-month-old daughter. I've been trying to set myself up as a leader for about a year now, finally feeling I know what I should do in most situations, and have seen great results. Play a lot with my kids when I mess up. However, my husband does not, is easily triggered, and is naturally more the authority style. I often find myself in situations where our son didn't get what he wanted and tries to trigger reaction, like hinting at throwing something. While I calmly observe from my peripheral with the intention to let him make the choice and then deal with it if he chooses to make the throw, my husband seems to forget I'm there and quickly reacts and steps in to prevent it, and we get a tantrum. It can also be that he addresses attitude, and sometimes we have my mother-in-law over and she steps in. I've talked to them afterwards, but they can't seem to help. Previously, I've tried to discreetly remind them that I'm handling it when they start to react, thinking it's their reaction that feeds it. But now I believe my son knows that he gets to me, as I've been inconsistent and probably shown that I'm insecure. So I've started to simply step back and keep doing my thing if he turns to me. However, I still feel like I'm missing something and wonder what would be the best thing for me to do in these situations.
Well, what you're missing is the support of your husband, because if he's undermining you, it can actually, unless you're a really strong leader, he's 6 years old. They generally follow the leader no matter what anyone else does anyway. But if you're not a really strong leader to start with and someone's undermining you, it's not going to work. Sorry about that. But and it can work if the grandparents are undermining you because they're not as important, right, as the parents. So yeah, and then you said you've been doing it for a year and it was working. Sounds like it's kind of gone off the rails because you're being undermined. And then when he threatens to throw and your husband reacts, yeah, the son just got what he wanted, right? He threatened something and then he got a reaction. Very smart when you said, let him do what he's going to do, unless it's really dangerous, obviously. Let him do what he's going to do and then deal with it afterwards. Those threats, often they are empty, but if someone comes after them right away with a threat, then threats are given a lot of power. Your husband's actually giving him a lot of power by reacting to his attitude and his threats. So yeah, sorry, but if he's undermining you, again, look at the pool story. It might help. Show him the pool story. It might help. You know, what's interesting is we were just talking about this earlier, like with coaching. A lot of times I'll just get one parent and the other parent just isn't on board. They just don't get it, or they haven't watched many of my videos and they're just not on board with it because it is seemingly unconventional, some of the stuff I teach. So anyway, but then when the other parent, if I can get that other parent to come to a session, I can usually pull them in. And it really, I have ways of doing that. But one of them is just the basis of that pool story. It's discipline should be super fast. Like you can't wait to get rid of it. You can't wait to get it over with. Okay. As soon as it's done, you could not be more sweet and loving. It is very hard for parents to do that, but boy, it's important. It is so important to turn it around. Plus, when you're disciplining, don't use a stern tone. You never want to look angry or frustrated or disappointed. If I'm disciplining a kid, I whisper pretty much. I go, oh, I'll tell you what we're going to do here. Because you chose to do that, here's what we're going to do. Okay? That's how I talk when I'm disciplining. It's like that. And then I get them to do the chore or whatever it is. And then we're right back to normal again. Like it's never happened. You got to let go of that stuff. But yeah, the dad's fear-based. Authority is fear and intimidation based. And it's not you don't want that. It'll backfire down the road. By the way, the old-fashioned authority style of parenting isn't bad. It's not horrible. But if the kids have it in them to rebel, they will rebel in the teen years. Okay? Or they might just get sneaky because they don't want to be controlled. The authority is based on control, power and control. You don't want that. You want kids who have their own self-discipline, self-control. That's what I do. So they can't rebel. They just, what's to rebel? Like my son said, he was 15. He says, I could never rebel. You're too reasonable and easy to talk to. I thought, yeah, that's a shame. Oh, well. So, yeah. So just tell them that. Say that they will rebel against an authority if they have it in them.
You know what I find so interesting is, this is just one of those things where you just can't please everyone. And I totally understand that, is that sometimes people will comment on the fact that you're too hard on kids in the sense, like from watching your videos, but then they'll also say the opposite. Other people saying, well, that you're being too easy on them. So I feel like there's just that middle balance that, everyone just has a different approach.
Yeah. And as you know, I never say anything to please anybody ever. I'm saying what works with kids. I've been working with kids for 50 plus years. I just understand them. I know what they need. They need to feel respected. They need to feel that they have a voice, and they need to feel that you enjoy their company. Not just love them, but they need to feel enjoyed. Do you actually enjoy playing with them, spending time with them, talking to them? When kids feel enjoyed, and that's what I'm good at. I'm good at connecting with kids, and I do enjoy their company, but I know how to handle it when they act out too. But you've got to enjoy your children too in those moments when you can, when they're not acting out. You've got to enjoy being with them. They pick up on that and they want more of it. Okay? Because they feel good about nothing makes someone feel better than when you enjoy their company. And it's no different with kids. Their love language is fun, but it's a little bit more than that. It's being enjoyed. That's that 5-year-old example that I always use. If you go up to a 5-year-old little boy and you say, you're wonderful, you're special, you praise him like crazy. You're so smart, you're good looking, you can do anything you want. I'm going to go do the dishes now, and you walk off. He's miserable. He doesn't care about anything you just said. You say to that same little boy, hey, what are you doing? Can I play too? He will light up like a Christmas tree. Okay? That's what I teach, how to make kids feel good about themselves. Then they would almost be embarrassed to act out around you because you make them feel so good.
This might be a more intense question, but I know from looking online and seeing online, there are some people who truly do regret having kids or realize after that parenting was not for them. How do you find parents enjoying their kids when they're in that boat?
Happens a lot in coaching. I've worked with a lot of parents who say, if we had it to do over again, we wouldn't have had kids if we knew what was coming. And they just don't enjoy playing with them. They love them. They all say they love them. They die for them. But, they miss their old life. They miss their freedom. But once I teach them how to connect with kids, it gets a bit easier. I'm assuming, they often say that, but then as time goes on, I hope that they do learn to enjoy them. But yeah, that's really unfortunate. But I do emphasize you've got to find something to enjoy with them. There has to be something that you can enjoy doing with them. I always say enter their world, but maybe you both like music. Maybe you like magic tricks. Maybe you like science stuff. Maybe you like physical activity. Find something like a common ground, something you can both enjoy. I love humor. I'm really goofy. I like physical humor. All kids like physical humor, so it works in really well with kids. Like I used to run around with underpants on my head, chasing the kids as the panty monster. That's my world. My kids outgrew that. They were like 2 by the time they said, "Mom, enough's enough." But I love all that stuff. But find something that you can enjoy with your kids, okay? It's usually as something silly, but not always. Not everyone has that silly bone in them, and I totally respect that. So find music, like storytelling. It might be arts and crafts. Might be painting. It might be kinetic sand. I don't know. There's almost always something that you can find that you both enjoy doing together. But that is a challenge for a lot of parents. I totally get it. Like I said, I have a silly bone. It's easier for you if you do have a silly bone. But if you don't, I would say probably half my parents don't. Half my clients don't. So we find other ways of enjoying them. It's often through music and arts and crafts and activities.
We have one final question. So it's Kelsey from the United States. I have a 10-month-old and a 2.5-year-old. She has been pinching and scratching me, hitting her brother. She will also wait to see if anyone's looking, and I don't know what to do. I've taken away toys. I've held her down. Timeouts do nothing, so I don't even use timeouts. If I were to spank her, it's me telling her it's okay for me to hit her, but not okay for her to hit others. She also keeps drinking out of the dog bowl, even though she has a fresh cup of water every day. She gets jealous of her brother, but not as often now. I sit and play on the floor with them almost every day, or almost all day, and when he goes down for a nap, it's her time with just me. She's not mean to her dad as she is with me, and she doesn't tend to be as mean when he's around. He's an officer and works weird shifts while I'm a stay-at-home mom. He is a good leader and very calm and stern, but I have a lot of work to do. I was raised in a house of yelling, and I hated that I was going down the same parenting route. I started watching your videos and have changed a lot of the way I speak and react, but these are 2 things I don't know how to get her to stop.
Okay, get rid of timeout. I can't stand it. Stop the spanking. And the dog bowl, can't you put it somewhere else? Like, it's kind of tempting for her if she, you know what I mean? Like, can't you find somewhere else to put it? Or, I don't know, but that's something maybe you can childproof. And you said she's getting better. You're at my least favorite age to coach. You got a toddler and a baby. It's just my least favorite because it often is just like the wild, wild west. Okay. You got a toddler with very few brain cells going on half the time, and they're just going to do what they're going to do. So, but you can still start to train them out of this stuff. Now, what I would do is if she's hitting the little baby, I would say no. And then I would pick up the baby and fuss over the baby. So don't go after her. You've already said no. And then, like I said, you always use consistent corrective actions with toddlers. So you're picking up the baby is taking the fun away from her. You're removing that ability for her to hit again. So fuss over the baby when she hits them. And then you can potentially say, okay, now let's go over here. And you've got to keep some distance between them. I would never allow, if she's in that mood and she's just going to keep going for him, poking at his eyes or whatever, you just have to keep them separate. It's just a lot of work. That's why it's my least favorite thing to coach, because it's a lot of physical work, especially if like I've got a mom with a brand new baby and like a 1.5-year-old. It's like my least favorite coaching client, and they know it. They'll hire me and they say, I know I'm your least favorite coaching client. But a lot of what we talk about is investing in tomorrow. And I do give this some tips on how to move forward. But yeah, it's just physically demanding. And you say no, you pick up the baby and fuss over the baby, and then don't put that baby down until she's calmed down. And you can see it in her eyes if she's going to go at him again. So yeah. And then, yeah, no timeout. I can't stand timeout. I think it's horrible. So use consistent corrective action. If she keeps doing it, you can even put her favorite toy away or something every time she hits him and goes for him. Say no. But When she first goes for him, that's when you pick him up, hold him. Don't let her keep going after him. You don't want those subsequent hits because it's like a muscle memory. They get used to hitting and it's easier for them to continue doing. So a lot of parents say, and then I put the baby back and they hit him again, picked him up, put him back. Keep him, hold on to him for a while till she calms down a little bit. It is tricky. It's not that I don't like those parents. It's just that my hands are kind of tied because they're so physical. So nothing against you. It's such a physical time that it's not, we can't use a lot of methods that I would love to be able to use. They're just not there yet. Okay.
I like how you had to put the disclaimer. Not that I don't like those parents.
Well, now they always, whenever they hire me that age, they always say, I know I'm your least favorite client. And we laugh and I say, yes, you are, but let's see if we can work on stuff. So usually it is a lot of investing in tomorrow. And also a lot of putting things in perspective with parents, because a lot of parents are very upset by what their toddler's doing. They say, I can't believe it. She's just pure evil. She's hitting her little sister. And I'm like, how old is she? She's 18 months old. No, she doesn't know how to be pure evil yet. Like a lot of parents just need to be talked off the emotional cliff. That's a lot of what this is. But yeah, they're just going to do what they're going to do when they're toddlers. I'm going to read out my top 5 tips for parenting toddlers. I know it off by heart, but I just have to look at it every time. Okay, number 1, child-proof your home so you never have to say no. Number 2, you set up a toy rotation system so they're never bored. Number 3, you connect with toddlers in their world so you don't take them to the nail salon. You go to the park and roll down the hill with them. They look at you differently when you enter their world. Like if they're doing something, you say, what are you doing? And you sit down and mimic them, and then you can morph it into other stuff, but you always want to enter their world. Number 4, when you're disciplining toddlers, it's in their world. Their world is not words, it's actions. That's why we use consistent corrective actions. Words, all these mini therapy sessions discussing big feelings and big emotions are absolute garbage. They're crap with toddlers. It's just ridiculous. And number 5, stop trying to figure them out. They're not figure-outable. They're brand new, fresh human beings. They've got one marble and some tumbleweed upstairs. Imagine if you've only been in the world for 2 years. In the first year, you were a potato laying on a mattress. They are just forming. They're cute as a button, but they're all feet, no brains. They might even stick their hands down their pants and put poop on the wall. I mean, go figure that one out. And you're going to look back on this and you're going to think, yeah, they were just nuts. What a crazy time. Everyone looks back on those toddler years like, yeah, that was a crazy time. So yeah, they're all pretty normal. Even though they're doing abnormal things, it's pretty normal for a toddler.
Okay, that was everything.
Okay, so it was fear-based parenting methods, warnings, countdown, grounding, yelling, and spanking. Those are all things that you want to stay away from, but it's very normal to be doing some of that stuff because it's been around for years. And sometimes just instinctively, we just maybe want to yell and spank, okay? But it's because you don't know what else to do. When you learn other things to do, then you can pull away from those things, okay? But so there's no judgment here if you're doing them. I'm just teaching you maybe better things to do instead. Anyway, I think we'll wrap it up here. So thanks so much for joining us. We'll be back again soon talking about parenting. Happy parenting.
Thanks for tuning in. If you're ready to dive deeper, check out bratbusters.com to learn more about the behavior board, parenting courses, and private one-on-one coaching with Lisa. If you've enjoyed the show so far, we'd love it if you could take a moment to follow, rate, and review us on your favorite podcast platform. Your feedback helps us reach more parents just like you. The information provided in this podcast is for general informational purposes only and is not intended as a substitute for professional advice. Lisa is a parenting coach, mom, and grandmother. She is not a licensed psychologist or counselor. Her services do not replace the care of psychologists or other healthcare professionals. For a full disclaimer, please visit bratbusters.com/disclaimer.